they choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
What is going on, Syndicate? Good morning. Happy Thursday. Hope everyone is having a killer day. Great week. I'm here hanging out with my boo today, Steph. I was trying to make her like be separate, and I was like, go upstairs and talk to them separate. And she was like, nah, I ain't having it, dude. I'm coming down there with you. What up, Tony and Joe? I assume y'all can hear me clear. Yeah, we're going to go through, it's like, dude, this is our first one. We've never done this. We had one interview once.
Yeah.
Well, like once with Landon.
One or two.
I don't remember Landon. Maybe. Anyway. Yeah, we've never really done this together. Steph sort of watches the show a lot. She has a lot of people ask her individual questions. We've been on one. I remember Landon's podcast. I don't remember another one.
The Starks.
Oh yeah, the Starks. We did it with the Starks too. And Steph's definitely more popular. So I was like, hell, let's get her on. And, I definitely want y'all to ask questions. I can obviously lead her with whatever, but they're just my thoughts and my questions, knowing things that people ask us over the years and things she can help with. But I prefer if y'all ask all the questions, to be honest, because I think it comes from a different angle. And will be her perspective based on what y'all want to hear. Otherwise, I'll just, as you know, I'll just talk. And it's,
A lot.
Yeah, I was watching this TikTok this morning, and it was like, what's her name? Cardone's wife. I think it's Elena. I think her name's Elena Cardone. And she was saying, and this isn't quite this exact story, but when she met Grant, he was already making money. And a lot of people say something to her like, like he made the money and you're just there. Yeah. And she's like, he may have had money when I got here, but the FU money, she's like, that was me. She got the whole crowd cheered. And, for us, when we started, hell, well, you tell them what it was like. I always tell the story. You tell stories.
It was
like
hard.
early, before insurance. Give them the before insurance Wetmore. Before you were the Wetmore.
Yeah. So
give them that one.
Gosh, when we met, he had a mortgage company, and of course, what was it? 07, 08?
Nope, they ain't gonna hear you. Hold on. She failed step one. Yeah, try that.
Sorry, guys.
Her AirPod fell out. Yeah. Hey, Joe, let me know if you hear her now again. Because I don't know how to test it live. We're just keep talking. But
do you hear me? So when we first got together, I first met him, he actually owned a mortgage company. And was it 07, 08?
06, I started it. 07 is
but when
we met.
The bottom fell out.
Yeah, we met in 07.
End of 07, early 08 is when that huge fallout happened. And anyone in finance or any other job really lost their jobs. He, of course, mortgage industry went away overnight, writing mortgages and refinancing and stuff like that. So he ended up having to close that up. After that, it was just a trickle effect. No one could find jobs. So he was like, God, lost a house, a car. I don't even know what else. He lost everything. Finally got a job after being bussed in.
Hey, what about my first place?
It was an efficiency. Like, he had a house initially, but then he ended up in an efficiency apartment, like one of the cheapest places you can get. Let's just say that. And so he was there for a while.
I remember you brought me Thanksgiving dinner, leftovers
from my family's dinner. Yeah. Because we weren't really there yet to like go with, so it was just weird. But so he got bussed in to like with a million other people in like suits and ties and stuff, going to some call center that just opened locally, and praying for the job. I mean, like it was awful, along with others. I mean, there were many people going through this.
Dude, I was in line for like 5 hours to get a job.
It was like a whole day thing,
call center
like
job.
for like a $10 an hour job. Bussed in and he got the job. So he was doing that. He was doing some accounting stuff for like a tax preparer place because he was an accountant. But he worked overnight. So it's like we had this weird, like I worked during the day, he was working at night. So it was very weird in the beginning. Clipping coupons, paycheck to paycheck. Finally, I let him move in with me. I had a place. So I was like, oh, please, I got an extra room. Just come stay here. So he did that.
You know what's funny?
What?
Amanda got mail. We got a check. We got a refund from the water company. It was addressed last week, like 3 days ago. It was addressed to the Cleburne, that Parkway. Remember that apartment?
Oh, really? Yeah.
Somehow I got a refund from that apartment. Yeah. Right before I moved in, I didn't pay rent there, and they kicked me out too.
So it was it was just a struggle. I mean, I had a job, so I was making money. Like I said, I had a house, we had cars and stuff, but after that, I mean, that was our life for a while. Clipping coupons, paycheck to paycheck.
That was from 07 till I didn't start this till part-time summer 2012. It was 5 years.
So 5 years of doing that, maybe eating out once a week, taking our lunch. Not many splurges. Did a lot of free stuff with the kids. Park, like free kids meals on Wednesdays at Wendy's, and tattoos and balloon artists there. And
how about Forrester's?
It was a struggle.
Hey, any of y'all got Forrester's policy on yourselves?
Well,
no, we didn't got that in 12. That was an upgrade.
Yeah. So no one can ever say I married him for the money. Like I loved him when he was broke, like really broke. So that's not us.
No.
Yeah. So
it's been a journey. It's been a journey. I remember we met. I rolled up with my hat on backwards, my ears pierced.
Yeah, a gold chain. Yeah. I'm like, who is this cat? Like
she remodeled me.
I'm from like the country, and you wear camo hats and shotguns in the back of your pickup truck, and here this dude is with like 2 earrings and a gold chain with his hat backwards. Yeah. Like, where did you come from?
Yeah, so I can't see who that is. How important is it? Whoever said how important is it to feel secure? I can't see who it is because you didn't do the StreamYard thing that Joe always makes you do. Let me go over here. Oh, that's I wonder if that's Richard. Yeah, it is. That's Richard, I think. Anyway, I'm gonna put this one up here. How important is it to feel secure when getting into business together? Is kind of one. Yeah, we'll go with that one. So what's crazy, and I'll let you answer this more, because we didn't go into business together, to be clear. Like we didn't, this was not like an us thing. I think that's where, thanks, Joe. I think that's where, thanks to John. Maybe. So yeah, I guess from your perspective, kind of answer that. But like we did not, this wasn't like a John and Steph are getting into the insurance business thing. This was like, John hates his effing job. I can't stand working for someone. I hated the commute. I hated having no money. I hated that Steph made more money than me, to be honest, because she made more money for the first 6 years we were together. So if we needed something, I'm like, now granted, she didn't manage money. So I kind of always managed the bank account and the bills and stuff for her. But I was like, hey, you care if we get this? More than I obviously have to now. But again, we didn't dive into this as like us getting into the insurance business. It was literally me trying to get out of a situation. And I had a brief stint in commissions in the mortgage deal, and I liked it. I liked the big chunks of pay. I liked the idea of sales. I liked that if I talked to more people, I could make more. I just didn't understand sales, and I definitely didn't understand the insurance business and what I was getting into. So I guess from that perspective to there, like, I don't know, did you have to feel secure that I was going to do self-employed? I don't even know how you felt, to be honest, when I got started.
Honestly, we had been broke and survived on my paycheck. Like, it was worth a shot. I mean, we really didn't have anything to lose. I mean, I had a stable job, and we were going to have a roof over our head, and we were going to have food, and we were going to have car and gas. So,
Yeah, but it was her
why not?
house.
Yeah.
She already owned the house. You had the house when you were like 21 or 22.
21, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so she had her own house for like 8 or 9 years already, and I think the mortgage was like
It was
$800
it
or
was
something.
Nothing fancy.
So she was paying that. She was paying all her bills on her own before I got there. You know what I mean? So it's like me just coming in.
It wasn't really.
Yeah, she'd have been fine.
Now, if I will say this, if I didn't believe in him and have faith in him as a person to do everything that it takes to like succeed and to, give it all he had for our family, like I may have felt differently, but I was fine with it.
What did you think of the insurance business at first?
I thought it was a scam because the first time we go to this meeting and like, I'm all for people having things and being proud of what you have and working hard for things, and that's fine. But these people, all the meeting was telling us how much money they had, what they spent it on, and why you needed to do what they do so you can have these houses and give this money to so and so and drive this flashy car. It was just. I was like, this is, we left. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I never went to another meeting after that until we joined FFL. I was just like, this is just showboating. It was just a whole different animal.
But you let me do it anyway.
Well, you didn't do anything right then. I mean, I think you joined, but
well,
you
that's
didn't really.
See, that's the say those that follow me. I think that's when I dialed that one time and quit.
And then quit. Like we went to that meeting together.
Yeah.
You wanted to introduce me to the industry just to kind of see my thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that company was not the best.
But it was the same company I went back
But,
to. When I started again 2 years later.
But I started liking it. You were there briefly. But anyway, so I mean, I did not get a good taste in my mouth from the beginning. And I'm a skeptic. So to me, things are too good to be true.
That's true.
You can't make that much money. Some people can, but it's not for everybody. And I don't know. I just didn't buy into it. And especially with the way they were so flashy with just the money aspect of it, instead of like helping clients and helping people in their time of need, that in turn helps your family. It was just all about the money. And I didn't like being sold on that.
Yeah.
So
I didn't necessarily like the flat, whatever. I just ignored that part. But I was like, these cats are making money somehow.
Yeah.
And I'm a guy that I feel like if you can do it, I can do it too. Mm-hmm. So it gave me like kind of some hope that I could figure something out. Mm-hmm. There was just too many people in there showing. Again, I don't need to show it off, but I'll take it.
Yes.
So I'm way less a skeptic and more like, if those fools can figure it out, so can I.
That's where we differ. We're polar opposites in that aspect. Like I play it safe. I stay in my comfort zone. I don't like change. He'll change on a dime. He will try anything new. He'll try anything once. Not afraid to fail. Like I before I usually do something, I'm pretty confident I'm going to succeed in it. So we're very different in that aspect. So I guess we balance each other pretty well because he's crazy.
Do you remember, explain like the first dial? Do you remember that downstairs when I was dialing? Explain that. It was like,
I had to make him
like, give him like the view, like what it was like. You know what I
So
mean?
it's a garage. It was kind of enclosed. It wasn't like a finished garage. It was a garage. We had sheetrock walls, but he was in there with a little folding table. Mm-hmm. It was cold, so I had a little space heater down there for him so that he could stay warm.
Cold. It was 40 below.
Okay, he's from Boston. He just it wasn't 40 below. We're in Georgia. It was cold though. Yeah. So, and he was just nervous. It was just a lot. So I made him a vodka and OJ to kind of get him through the day. So that was.
I got my first dial through my first nerves of dialing.
Yeah.
She would bring me. What did I say? I was nervous. Like, what was it? What do you remember? I don't remember. I remember being nervous, but I don't remember the interaction.
Told me, I don't know. We feed off each other's energy very well. So I was like, you need to drink. So
I'm kind of whiny, and she'd be like, "Suck it up, Buttercup."
whiny, needy.
Yeah, yeah. So I dialed in. I dialed in that garage for like probably the first year until then. I moved into the kids' room.
Yeah.
I moved into the kids' playroom next for probably the next year. And then a year after that, I went to Kilmet's office. Yeah, so it was probably two years split between the dialing in the garage and the kids' playroom. Yeah. So, what do you think? What's your perspective like when I was like in the field? Hey, Joe's like, you should pull up a picture. I wish we had one. You definitely probably have an old hood photo.
My
but
phone,
in the
remember, my phone broke and I don't have
they're
one.
not on this phone. We'll get you one, Joe. They ain't hard to find. Ask my mom. Tag my mom and ask her for some pictures. She'll probably have some. She'll send some crazy ones. What do you remember like at the beginning when I was in the field, like in and out? Do you remember any of it? Like, I don't know if I bitched or moaned or was I don't really remember.
I don't.
Well, like when I was at the beginning,
dabbling
yeah,
when
when
you were
I
not all in.
yeah.
I don't really remember a lot of complaints, if I'm honest. But at the same time, I was with a baby, like I was preoccupied. So maybe he was. I don't know. I don't remember it though, so it's not very vivid that he was like coming home. I know he would drive a lot. I remember that. I remember you talking about like no shows occasionally and stuff like that. So I feel like I knew a little bit about it, but I don't really feel like I felt you were so discouraged, or I don't know that you told me. Maybe it was one of those things like I don't want me to get a bad taste in my mouth, because initially I already kind of did anyway. So maybe
you didn't know nothing about the money.
Yeah.
Chargebacks, you didn't know nothing about it. You didn't even probably know how it worked.
I didn't know what he spent, what he had. We could have $5 in the bank account or 500,000. I really didn't know.
Yeah. You didn't really know how the business worked.
I didn't.
It's funny. I don't remember the first, because even when you came to the events,
it was just more of an event thing. It was more to hang out with the wives, and it was more of a social thing than actually diving into the business and learning or understanding, really.
I think the first time you saw me train, outside of phone calls, we'll talk about phone calls in a minute because I do want you to talk about that. I think the first time, I don't even know why I say I know the first time you saw me train, like in my element, was 2019.
Probably. Yeah.
That was 7 years in.
Yeah, because I didn't even.
You never been to my office.
No, I had not been to the office.
So we got the office in 14 till 19. She'd never stepped foot in my office.
I mean, I did have a job. I did work, so it's not.
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah, but I had not been there. No.
Yeah.
So I was so far removed from it. It was kind of like his thing. I had a job that was my thing, and we got together, after work or whenever. But.
Did I talk about building early? Do you remember? Like building the agency, or so? When did that?
Not until you really got serious.
What do you remember? Did I ever say like we're gonna do this? Or I don't remember. I don't remember how much I talked. Because what I remember is like all the dream casting and vision building. I was doing that with like the guys. Yeah. Me and Killimat, you know what I mean? I don't remember how much I did.
It was not
with you.
Us together.
So this was like a secret. It just like happened.
Well kept secret.
That's funny. What do you remember about like? I'm gonna go into the building side a little bit. What do you think? Let's do this. How do I want to do it? What's been the hardest part of this for you?
Navigating the initial growth period.
What do you mean?
Just our marriage, navigating.
When you say growth, like the business, or growth like
business growth, and running, building, all of that. It takes so much time, and that was a huge struggle. Us trying to navigate that and come out unscathed.
Explain it.
He was gone all the time. Like from sun up till sundown. I rarely saw him. I had a toddler. I was like a single mom. I had a job though at the same time. It was hard because we didn't carve out the time that we should have carved out for our marriage. And I'm not a complainer. I'm not a nagger. I'm not needy. I'm fairly easy when it comes to things. So I didn't want to be another stressor in his life. I didn't want to add more to his plate because he was working his butt off. I mean, he was working really hard to get our family in a different situation. And so I didn't want to add to that. I didn't want to be like the lady that hung up on him on the phone, or the agent who wasn't doing what he was supposed to, or the no-show. Like, I didn't want to be one more thing on his plate. So I didn't say anything. I ran the household, I worked, took care of the kids, and let him do his thing. And I wish we would have navigated that differently, because we had a set schedule for everything and we could have carved out time for us. I should have spoke up. I should have said that maybe I wish we had more time together, or an uninterrupted hour or something, because there was no uninterrupted time ever in that growth period.
How long do you think?
Years. I mean, if I'm being honest, it was a long time, and that's.
But you weren't like ever angry.
No, I wasn't
That's
mad.
the thing. It's like, this is a lot of looking back.
Yeah,
well, therapy,
like,
therapy,
looking back. Near divorce. I mean, all those things.
How much time would you have needed, though, realistically?
An hour of uninterrupted time a week, probably. A dinner.
Yeah, so don't get it twisted, y'all.
Yeah, I don't need a lot of his time, but I think we should have made a time to connect when a phone call from an agent wasn't going to disrupt us or interrupt us. Because when those phone calls come, like, we might be having a great conversation, but when that comes and I'm fine with him taking it and he needs to take it, it's hard to get back on track to what you were talking about. Or if it's really trivial or not that important, you won't even go back to it, even though it might be something that's worth sharing.
It was crazy.
Just,
most of those agents ain't even here today. But I said most of those agents ain't even here today.
Yeah.
The ones I was taking, you know what I mean? It's like, damn. I learned a lot, though.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
So I feel like, we had no one to guide us or help us. Everybody that was doing this with us was fairly new to it as well, for the most part. So it's not like we had anybody like to sit down and say, hey, I know you're going through this, or I know you're growing your business, like, make sure you do this, or I would recommend this, which is what we do to our agents now. Like, we I don't want to counsel, if you will, but we give them advice on how to navigate this as a team, so that they come out, just as good, if not better, than they were when they started. Because this can be life consuming, and you can have a lot of issues that come from it. Communication is key. Like, you have to communicate.
I would say
I think that would have solved a lot of problems.
You know what's crazy is, like, we didn't know we had a problem when we had the problem.
No.
When we found out is when I got out of the field.
Oh, boy.
I went from, like, being gone for years. And again, I was home. But when I was home, it was like running around with kids, or
you were having to paper out.
Yeah.
There were so many things that still, you weren't present. He was there, but not present.
True. Yeah, sure.
So,
even when I was at stuff, I was on the phone.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
It didn't matter what it was.
Where we really found out it was a problem is when I got out of the field. Because it was probably spring of 2017. I went from being gone all the time to one of the top producers in the country to, like, one day I was home every day at 3:30.
And I had been like a single mom running the show myself, and had routine. I'm big on routine, so I had routine. I had set schedules, and then all of a sudden he's here.
I didn't know what my house was like. I didn't know how I'd get home. I remember I'd get home. We had this kitchen. We're going to talk about getting that house first in a minute. We had this kitchen, like, island thing, and I would sit at it, and I'd just be on my computer, just working, like, figuring out how to, like, I had a hard time figuring out how to go from agent to running a business and what my role was. Because I had one staff. Amanda was doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff. When I stopped selling, I didn't know what the hell to do at the office. I hadn't been in the office in years. So I was kind of trying to figure it out. So I'm trying to find my way with, like, what do I do and how do I become productive and grow this agency now that I have all this time back? And certainly it's turned into a lot of process and systems today, but navigating that, I'd be home. I'm like, what am I doing at the office? Like, this is stupid. So I'd go home and I would just sit there. And I was like, I was watching a show.
Life go by.
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
like watching
my
them.
routine and my schedule and
And I'm like, is that I could have not been there. I was literally just watching my family live, like do their thing, what they always did. And I'm like, this is the most boring life ever. I didn't know what to do. I was annoyed out of my mind. I'd sit there from whatever time I got home till midnight.
Mhm.
She'd be putting Maddox to bed, in bed, watching her shows, doing whatever. And I'm like, dude, I've never been, I don't know what single is like. I'm literally sitting there by myself for it. That's what caused the biggest issue for me.
Yeah.
Sitting there going like, what the F is happening?
And then he tried to integrate back in, like, and he's wanting to like play fight at bedtime.
Maddox.
You know, and
with
just-
Maddox, not
yeah,
her.
like,
to
yeah.
be clear.
So anyway, he would do like just crazy stuff that totally disrupted my schedule.
Yeah.
And I don't hide my feelings well, so apparently, I mean, I'm sure I was annoyed or bothered or
You were annoying.
you know said something, and you know, it just
That was a tough year. That was the hardest
it
year
was
for me.
really hard.
We had money.
Yep.
We had stupid cash flow.
Mhm.
But we didn't have.
We had to rebuild our relationship as a husband and wife because it's like we had led different lives for so many years, doing our own thing. I mean, both were for the greater good of our marriage, though, and for our life and for our kids. Like it was like we had this common goal together. And I always tell everybody that we had very different paths and roles to play to get us there. And because of that, when we finally were able to come back together, like it was a struggle. It was.
We're both also really poor communicators.
Yeah.
About like
Yeah.
feelings
Just
and
little-
whatever.
yeah.
So that was tough.
So it was really, really hard. So I think if we had carved out that time to connect going through it, we wouldn't have been on such opposite ends when we finally were able to come back together, which was our goal, to be able to come back together and have, you know, the life we dreamed of, you know, the money and the time, you know, able to do stuff that we could not do before.
Yeah.
So we had all that, but here we are trying to survive, you know, and it was really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't take long, about a year.
What's crazy is we've never like had a fight
No, we don't fight.
ever.
Mm-mm.
We just if we're mad,
We snap at each other occasionally. It's rare. We just don't.
But it was tough navigating that.
Yeah.
Therapy definitely helped.
Mm-hmm.
We just had to figure out how to communicate and talk. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, when you talk, you feel better. Weird.
Now we came out stronger, better
For sure.
than we were before, but again, we could have avoided all of that. I truly feel like we could have avoided that.
Yeah. I could have involved you more in what was going on and happening
Mm-hmm.
and been more intentional about scheduling.
And your time at home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I scheduled everything.
Yeah.
Everything was planned.
Mm-hmm.
Everything business was planned to a T. And I go home and I was like, I'm winging
Winging
life.
it.
Yeah. Look at this one. What do you think about that? I'm gonna let you answer. I don't know what he means by zero
The
times
ideal
zero.
for one to be full time and someone else to work elsewhere when starting. I mean, that depends on your savings, income. I mean, I think that's on a,
It's case by case. kind of
yeah,
deal.
that's not a blanket. There's not a blanket answer for that.
Yeah. I think risk tolerance has a lot to do with that too.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It depends on kids' ages. I mean, like if it depends on whether you want them to help with the business. Is that what you're asking?
Depends on support.
Yeah.
Hell,
Like-
sometimes it's managing money. Like
Mhm.
I see a lot of, you know this, a lot of people struggle where like one person is doing it. Say I'm in the business,
Mhm. But I'm
you're
doing the
not, and you
finances.
manage the money.
Yeah, and you see that
Yeah,
going up. Yeah, that would.
you would have lost it if you saw what I was spending.
Yeah, I would. It would have been bad.
Yeah.
Best I stayed out of it. Another thing too, people change their lifestyles too soon.
Mhm.
Don't do that. We can talk about that now, leading into the house. I
Yeah.
guess maybe. If you
Yeah.
want to tell that story, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it was through this thing, and I'll put yours up in a second, Jeff. I knew at the beginning because I had lost everything. Because when I got in the mortgage business, I changed my lifestyle like 12 minutes after my first closing. I was like, dope, I made 4 G's. What the hell? And I started adding to my lifestyle. Bought a house I couldn't afford, It was the second house because I had our little baby house. It was the first house I ever bought, was in Georgia. Little small little thing. I mean, you remember it. And then right when I started making a couple bucks in mortgage, I went and bought a big house that I definitely couldn't afford. They did a bank statement loan. So they just looked at deposits. I definitely didn't qualify for it. But they let me have it. So I got that. I got that truck. Remember that little two-tone thing I had when we met? That SUV. It was like a Tahoe.
I remember the Altima.
Yeah. Well, the Altima
Anyway,
gets because they took the Tahoe.
Oh.
So I had that. And then so I had lost it all. So when I got into insurance, I was scared. And I realized that I didn't actually own any of the stuff I said I owned. The banks owned it. So when I got into this, I was nervous for years about it going away again. So as I was doing better and better in insurance, I was still traumatized by them coming and taking all my stuff. I was worried that insurance was going to go away as fast as mortgages did. You know, I think because mortgages turned off overnight. It was gone. So I was nervous for years. And then it was I think we bought our house at the end of 16.
We did.
And I
was terrified.
Yeah, it was like a 5,000 square foot house or something, maybe something like that, whatever it was. And it was like 460 grand. This was like 7-8 years ago.
12 acres.
Yeah, it's coming from a $120,000 house.
Yeah.
So she was always like a dreamer of like how she would shop houses online. This was like her dream house. And I think one day I was like, let's go see it. You've been looking at it for a while.
Yeah.
I was like, let's go see it. And she got confused. And then
I had no concept of what we had in the bank, how much money he made, how much he spent.
Yeah.
You know, we still live very.
And in our personal account, I paid myself a salary. I was making ridiculous money. I was still only paying myself like $1,500 maybe at that point, $1,500 a week, maybe. So even if she looked at our checking, which she rarely did, you wouldn't know anyway. So we didn't have a lot of money in our personal checking account at that stage. It was all in the business account or side account savings, things where I moved them. But I remember we did that when I was like, all right, let's get it. I think you asked if I was sure 650 times.
Because we had a house we could afford. I didn't want, and I knew that I could afford it on my own, meaning if his stuff went away again, we were going to be okay. We're going to have a roof over our head. We weren't going to have to go find somewhere else to live or be homeless. So it's not.
I mean, that's how little we communicated. That you didn't even understand where we were financially to be able to buy a house. That looking back is not that. I mean, the mortgage was like $2,000. You know, this is interesting. Again, communication with this thing. Let's see. I saw Joe's. He asked if maybe that one. Oh no, that's not the one. Where the hell did it go? He asked about a book. Oh, here it is. Any of the books y'all read that have helped yourselves through the marriage transition?
You were talking about the marriage transition, the 5 love languages.
Yeah,
it's huge. It was eye-opening. I'm a doer. Like, I take care of him. Like, it's just, people call it old-fashioned. People laugh. I mean, I get his clothes out still to this day. I lay out, they're ironed, they're ready to go. Shoes, socks, underwear. His breakfast is made and packed, ready to go to this day.
Move your hair. Someone said it's harder to hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think it's fine. Joe would talk. It's really bad.
So I fix his lunches. I have things ready. That's how I showed that I care for him. He appreciates and he likes those things, but it does absolutely nothing to fill his love tank, if you will. He is physical touch, affection,
words of affirmation,
like all of these things that aren't mine at all. If I'm being honest, I mean, they're mine's gifts.
She don't care at all, dude.
Service, right? Like, so you find that you do the things that fill your tank
to the other
person because you think that it's also going to fill their tank. And I think when you realize that maybe that's not the case and you have to do those other things, I think that's huge. I think it's like game changer in your marriage. So I highly recommend that you both read it and understand it and talk about it, because chances are you're not the same. A lot of times opposites attract. So you can at least kind of figure out so you're on the same page.
I think he means or. That's just added to his question. Any books or anything that helped?
Therapy.
Anything else? Therapy legit, dude. I like
Yeah.
therapy.
Yeah, it was
I
good.
kind of want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. This is kind of like
we weren't
therapy. To be clear.
communicators by nature.
I'm
so,
a big. I didn't think. Remember at first I was like, hell no.
Yeah. Oh, he said no.
Yeah. My bad.
He refused
Yeah.
at first.
My mom made me go when I was a kid, and I didn't like it.
Really.
Yeah.
It was, and I had never been either, but I knew that that's the things that you try. That's the tools you pull from when you know you need help. We obviously weren't able to figure it out on our own. So it did help tremendously.
It taught me how I think and kind of why I think or feel the way I do.
And that things also that I say or do means something totally different.
That's a big one, actually.
Interpreting.
That was the biggest takeaway. I learned how I think and feel. Mm-hmm. But like, you know how y'all be out there and you're like, I don't know, dude, your wife will make a look and you'll be like, hey, why are you looking at me like that? Yes. And you think it means. I remember
that specific in therapy where he was like, that doesn't mean that. And I'm like, no. And he was just like mind blown that the look that I had always given him didn't mean what he thought it meant.
Yeah.
Just simple, stupid stuff, you know, that are easy to fix and correct and change and understand. And
you think in this situation, she feels this way.
When instead.
And it was the polar opposite. So we started giving examples. Like in this situation, I feel like this, and here's why. And she'd be like, what? That's what you took? I misread her so bad. And a little bit vice versa. You certainly not as mine was way off. I was so far off base. So that dude, honestly, that helped a ton. And we didn't do it crazy long.
We didn't, because we started getting better ourselves. Yeah. Eventually we were going and we were like, we could talk about this on the couch or over dinner or, you know, so.
Erin, I like her social. Hers makes me laugh. She does little commercials.
Well, that's us in a nutshell. We are polar opposites.
For 2 years, he is W-2. We view things very different. I feel we have challenges with differences in work, and
I mean, I had a job for 20-something years, and he's like, "Can you please leave your job?" Like I was working, and he would have all these trips he would earn and get to go on, and I'm like limited to like certain amount of vacation and time off, and I was a dedicated employee. I literally was there for like 20-something years. I think I maybe missed 1 or 2 sick days and went through cancer. That's a whole nother thing. While I was working, I would go to treatments and still go into the office after. Just so much so that was actually detrimental to our marriage as well. Like I played a part as well to contribute to that. But you've got to talk about stuff. You've got to communicate. You've got to talk about your goals and visions for your family, where you want to be, agree on those, and then define your roles to play to get there.
Yeah.
And if it's W-2, then
I would do it with someone. I'd find like someone you trust, or whether, again, therapy is an easy way, but that some people take that the wrong way. But like maybe someone in the business that's having success, or like that's what we do for some people. Like we'll have those conversations because sometimes I've learned people explain it wrong. Or it feels like argumentative, or like one is doing something wrong, and it's not. Neither is wrong. There's just different views and perspectives.
No, I feel like there can be a problem if you're 1099 and you're half-assing it, and your spouse sees you frustrated or being gone or not giving it your all.
If there's no result.
If there's no result, it's like if he had been doing all of those things, being gone, not present, not available, and our bank account stayed where it was, I would not be happy with it either. I would want him to go get a W-2 job just for stability.
If we're going to be broke, you'd rather be home.
I would rather him be home and present if we're going to be broke.
Yeah.
So if you're not giving everything that you have to change your circumstance and change your situation and better your life and better your family and better your future, I can see where frustration would come from a W-2. That was me. I was a W-2 employee for many, many years. I can see where that frustration would come. But I think you have to talk about it. I think you have to communicate, and we're very different. We are, I would say, polar opposites. No joke. Like, his mindset, the way he works, we're just very different. But
Tell them how it was trying to work together, because we did try it. Like,
so I quit working finally, and I'm not somebody usually who can just sit home and stuff. So trying to come in and work together after he had already built this and established this on his own. I am someone, I ran basically operations for a business for 20 something years. So I was in charge there. He was in charge here, and then us trying to work together, and just that, because we're both control freaks, funny enough. We are similar in that. So that was a struggle navigating that too. So
yeah. It didn't work.
There's many stages.
We don't do this together anymore. We play our roles. Like, you don't run.
I
She
don't
doesn't do
try
anything
to do
operationally.
the operations side of it. I work more with the staff. I work more with our agents directly. Honestly, we do a lot of couples things, navigating this, letting them know what to expect when they get in the industry. Again, how to avoid the pitfalls. So that's more.
I think we do really good at helping people who are in a similar spot, and we're just really real about how we each played a role. Even though you had really nothing to do with the business per se, you really did have everything to do with the business.
Because
I
I couldn't have
done
started a business if I didn't do what I was doing on the W-2 side, holding down the fort at home, working a 40-hour-a-week job.
Yeah.
We would not be where we are today if I didn't contribute that to it. So also too, don't minimize the others' contribution. It may not. I'm not a go-getter. I'm not a driven person like he is.
For years.
Yeah,
It used to drive me crazy.
Yeah, but if I wasn't the way that I was and comfortable staying and not changing and doing all of these things, then we would certainly not be in this situation.
Yeah. So I think it's communications there. What we had was a mutual desire to be where we're at today in terms of like time and money, freedom, being able to do what we want with the kids, show up to everything, be at everything. She likes to entertain, have all the kids do whatever, take them somewhere. She wanted more of that time freedom than again, we have some nice stuff, but it's not about, like, okay. Hell, most days I come in the office in sweats and a t-shirt. But
shirts from Marshalls.
Yes, sir.
Mine too. I'm thrifty.
Yeah. What do you see as the wife? She's not licensed. Oh, she is licensed. She got licensed.
In case he died and I could get his renewal money. Sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
being honest.
Let's be clear. How long did it take you to get licensed? Had no insurance experience ever.
I started studying on a Friday, took my test like Wednesday of the next week, and passed the first time.
It's like 5 days. Yeah, so it's like we use her as an example when we're recruiting now.
And I had not taken a test in over 20 years, and I'm not a good test taker.
She's the opposite of a good test taker. Yeah, it's like everyone we recruit now, we're like, my wife got licensed in 4 days, and she doesn't do this, nor did she want to do this, and she sucks at taking tests. So, can you get it done quicker than you should be able to go quicker? If you're actually trying to do this as a career. So I think it's funny how long people drag it out, and more so when people are recruiting. Those of us recruiting can sometimes set the expectation that it's okay to take a freaking month and a half to do your thing. And I'm like, what are you doing for a month and a half? What do you see as the biggest reason people don't have success here? And to be clear, she's talked to a lot of agents over the years.
There are tons of people. Their words say that they want the outcome, they want the money, they want the freedom, they want all of these things for their family. But when it comes time to do the work, they're not willing to put in the work. So they say they want it, but their actions scream the opposite, actually. People don't do what they say they're going to do. They look at this, a lot of people look at like a 1099 position as to be able to be their own boss, sleep in, take weekends off. Like, they look at that as a job that allows them to pull back versus go harder. And also too, at the same time, like we're putting out an ad for people who want to do this, and they come into it looking for a job, And then they come here and we're like, oh, you can be a business owner. You get to grow a business here. And a lot of people don't have business mindset. So if you don't have that, it's just hard to, I don't know. We always use the analogy, like these people are applying for like a fry cook or a shift manager position, and we hire them or bring them in, and we're like, all right, you're a franchise owner now. And they're like, what? I have to manage schedules and count the money each night, make sure it's good, and make sure, somebody ordered enough fries, and they're like, I didn't sign up for this. So you have to be clear, meet people where they are, discuss their goals. Don't push yours on them. Not everybody wants to make $500,000 a year. Some people want to make $100,000 and live the life they want to live, and that's perfectly fine. Meet them where they are. And I don't know.
What's been the best part about this?
The best part?
Yeah. Or your favorite, however you want to word it.
I don't know. The growth that we've had, we've been through a lot of hard stuff. And to come out virtually unscathed, almost, maybe just a little few bumps and bruises.
Scraped our knee a little.
And to get to live the life that we live now, the relationships that we've built, the people that we've met because of this industry. Yeah, I mean, a lot to be thankful for, grateful for.
Who'd have thought we'd be doing something like that?
We're just like really happy people. You know what I mean? Like there's not many things that go on in our life that we know we can't tackle. Yeah. We've laughed. We've been through. We'll talk about your wedding vows, rich or poor. We've got that covered. Sickness and health. I had cancer, so we got that covered. Now it's just like, what, till death do us part? Mm-hmm. So we're good. We're down to one. So I think we got this.
It was like death when it almost did. No, she's being a bum and not coming to Joe's next weekend. I tried to get her to come, and she said, no, go by yourself.
Staying home with my little nugget.
She misses Maddox too much when she leaves.
We've been traveling a lot, and I enjoy it, but I don't like being away from my son. So I'm gonna stay home and do mommy duties and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I dig it. If y'all got anything else, we're gonna wrap soon. Any other questions, feel free to put them in. I think they're delayed on Facebook, but I think they come real time here.
And if anyone has other questions, we're always available. Like we can help with specific.
How do they find you? Where do you want them to get you? She's very disorganized, to be clear. Don't email her. How many you got? Let's look. Let's see the difference. What's your bubble say?
I have 16,584 unread emails.
I have 8.
He has 8, and that's only because
we've been on this.
Yes. So don't email me. You can reach out on social.
Facebook's
Stefanie Wetmore. Facebook's really about it, but you can totally reach me there. Or John, whatever. You can find me. I'm easy. But we're always up for helping anybody because I just want to see people succeed. I want other people to win. I want other people to live the life that we live.
That's the part I like.
And if we can contribute anything, just simple advice, and it helps, we're here for it.
I love how wild first of all, this gets wildly easier. Mm-hmm. And what's crazy is like, especially, this is more on the building side. This probably applies to sales too. As you start to do this more and you start to gain belief in yourself, respect for yourself, you start to see some results, you start overcoming obstacles, you get this, it's hard to explain the feeling you get doing this every day and like the confidence in which you do it at. And like people start to view you differently in terms of like, I don't say a ton different in terms of like how to do this at a high level than I did 5, 6, 7 years ago.
You just carry more weight now. Or
there's more proof in it.
Yeah.
So people actually, so if you're struggling, go like, they don't damn listen. Like I used to get frustrated, but they just didn't listen. It was like, well, they didn't listen because I wasn't doing anything yet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I believed in
Like
it, but and it's neat to be able to see how quickly today I can impact someone's. Like, just there's this dude dialing out there right now. Like, I have a dial room, like literally 4 steps behind this computer, and he comes in some just to. And I don't have a ton of people in my office, to be honest, anymore. But he comes in and I chat with him a little bit when we're in there, and he's dialing. He had a bad week. He ran 30 appointments, only took 4 apps. Where last week he wrote like 18 apps or something, and he's down. And I'm like, so I start talking to him. I literally talking for 3 minutes. I'm like, do you play sports? He's like, yeah. Like, you understand baseball? He says, yes. I go, do you ever see one of your favorite guys go like 4 for 30 and like be mad? But then they go like 12 for 30 the next week. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, yeah, all the time. I'm like, well, that's what you just did. You did your 30. You did what's right. You did the right thing. Stop focusing on the result. Why don't you just pay attention to 30 every week? And we did the math. It's 120 a month and it's 1,500 people a year. He's like, dude, I never thought about that. I'm like, if you see 1,500 people in a year, how well is your end of year going to be? He gave me a number, what he thought he could accomplish and what that would make him and his family feel like. And I'm like, all right, well, as you're going through it, bro, why don't you just remember what the future feeling you're looking for is, as opposed to the Tuesday feeling when you got no showed a bunch. And it just, he was like, dang, you know, and to be able to, it's a 2-minute conversation. And his tonality dialing is different right now. You can hear him different, you know. He got frustrated on a dial, and I went out and I'm like, bro, I heard your sigh from in the other room, dude. Like, it's one dial. What are you getting frustrated for, bro? Don't get caught up in the moment of the feeling. Just go through the activity. And dude, he's been down like a machine over there since. He was shuffling leads earlier because he was frustrated. You want to answer? I didn't read it. Which one do you want to answer?
I think Dawn said I have more tactful ways of conveying it all. I'm sure
You
that was
have.
directed at me. Had to be.
No, she's definitely saying I used to be an asshole.
Okay, gotcha. Yes.
I love you, Dawn. What's this one? So in regards to the duties, do you guys have specific jobs? John does. She doesn't work in like the.
I don't.
She does have duties. Her duties are to make sure that, like, there's part of managing the agency that I'm not good at. I'm not like the most empathetic dude on earth. I'm not the best at like telling staff, like, you did amazing today. I'm not good there. You know, so she's really good at kind of managing that piece of things. She doesn't have like, you have to do this report every Tuesday at noon. That's not her role. She's like the glue to the office in the agency.
I somehow can punch people in the face with like the truth, and they're okay with it. Whereas they crumble with him. Especially
new people.
I can tell them like, you're not doing this, you're not pulling your weight. If I was your wife, I would divorce you. I mean, the things that I get away with saying to these people, because it comes from a good place, and I've been through it. They listen to me, so
so she helps me there with agents, communicating if I need. If I'm just like, I don't know how to get this across to this person without me being frustrated. Here's what they need. She can deliver it in a really good way. She's really good at like
planning the meetings and the things that we do when we have conferences and stuff like that. Like, that's totally my thing.
The detail on it. I'll plan. I'll be like, hey, we're having a meeting in Nashville in 3 weeks.
I'm like, okay, we're having it here. We're going to have this for lunch. So I plan all of those things.
I would say too, expressing to, like, I struggle with staff management. Amanda and I are good, but Chris now, I understand, obviously, but sometimes through staff, she'll have to micromanage the stuff, the detail that I hate micromanaging.
Yeah. He just gets more frustrated with it, but I can take it and I can fix it. I can implement it. I can make changes.
I'm like, I put stuff in place right now and go.
Yeah. I wear so many different hats here, and it's evolved. It's changing. It's always changing. I'll do anything that I need to do to contribute.
I'm more the visionary.
Yeah.
And put process in place.
Yeah.
I'm probably worse at making sure it stays in place and managing it. Yeah, when I'm done, when I put a project in place, I do it and I get bored. I'm done. You manage it now. This was fun. don't think anybody has anything else. Or is there more? Or no? No, that's hers. All right, cool. Well, if y'all need anything,
Seriously, reach out.
you know how
We're
to
always
find
here.
us. They're gonna want to find you now, which would be nice. I ain't mad at that. I'm kidding. Now, anything we can do to help, let us know. If you got any questions or anything offline, we'll definitely be at. She'll probably come to the 8% event. I think it's in July. I don't know when it is, June or July. I can't remember. They usually come to that. We put on events, so y'all will see her around if you follow us. She's usually tagging along for most of it. And again, look forward to continuing to add to this group. Anything we do to help, let us know. Anybody y'all want to hear from, please let me know. My least favorite part about this thing is figuring out who to get on, to be honest. So please send me some messages if you like, hey, I want to get this guy on. Someone asked for Trey, so I'm gonna get him on. But I didn't get a ton other than Joe's like, get Ed Milet. I'm like, bro, I ain't got that kind of weight.
You know
yet,
he's
dude.
desperate when he has me on, so.
Oh, I thought it was fun.
I'm just
And it was easy. It was easy.
I enjoed it.
I was like, hell, I can
It's
just
just
have
not
Steph.
usually my thing, but yes.
Yeah, I know Milet. One day, I'm not there yet. I can't make that phone call quite yet. But pick someone in the middle. Like we went Trey Honeycutt, Ed Milet. Like Trey's dope, but there's a lot of people in between him and Milet. Give me some feedback legit. Otherwise, again, hit us up if we can help. Otherwise, appreciate you guys. Hope y'all have a great day. Later.
Thank you.
Slow, and